So after a very eventful two-parter, we are now moving forward with the season, and what was this week's lesson and story? Let's find out. Hey guys, Kevin for Girl Meets World, Season 3, Episode 3, Girl Meets Jexica, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I've really been enjoying the season so far. The two-parter we got was fantastic. I really did love both parts. A lot of people thought part 2 ended too easily, but I really like the way things ended. You don't need too much drama yet, especially because we're going to get a lot when Ski Lodge comes around, so I think it was fine that they did what they did, but nevertheless, I was really looking forward to this episode because it was the first, standalone episode of the season. I was really looking forward to seeing how it was going to be here, and I will say that while I really enjoyed the message of this episode kind of lost me. I will definitely say that. I mean, I thought it started off really good, but then it kind of lost me towards the end. Not at all a bad episode, just not, I think, as strong as it could have been. I will admit it took on a very serious issue, but it just wasn't as good as I think it could have been. But let's just get into this episode because I do want to talk about it overall. There were two plots, one dealing with Riley, one dealing with Auggie, and they're both about the internet, basically. What's good about the internet, what you have to be careful with, mainly about internet safety, and, what it means to say something that's not true about yourself on the internet. Basically, Riley and Maya are coming up with, basically, profiles for the school, the school social network. Now, we never hear what the name of it is. I don't know if it was like Facebook. I'm assuming it's like Facebook or Twitter or something like that. I don't really know. Disney Channel can't say names. I'm surprised they didn't come up with a name, but they didn't, which I thought was kind of lazy. But basically, they have to put in movies and songs, and Riley can't really think of her interests. Like, even though she has interests, she doesn't really know what they are, and she's struggling to find what her interests really are. So she decides that she's going to create a fake profile because that's the best thing to do. She can't really think of what she really wants to be. So she decides to create a fake profile that is different from her and likes different things and basically put random things down because no one will say anything because obviously it's not from her. So she creates the fox named Jexica, basically this girl with like blue hair who gives advice and things like that. And that's basically what this episode is mainly about, is about her creating Jexica. But you know exactly how this is going to go down. That's one of my main problems with this episode, is that was very predictable. Like, I was watching this with my mom, and the second it started, mom's like, oh no, this is going to go wrong. Because it was very predictable. They didn't really go anywhere new with it. I really did enjoy the classroom scenes in this episode. I thought some of them were very well done. But basically, she creates this profile. Maya right away tells her it's a bad idea, that she shouldn't pretend to be someone she's not. But Riley, nevertheless, continues to do that. That's what she decides to do. And she creates this fake profile, basically. But then we get this really good classroom scene with Corey where I don't really remember what he was teaching them in history, but basically he's talking to them all about the internet and how it's a good thing and a bad thing. And I like what Maya brought up, that they do use the internet for school and things like that. They use the internet sometimes for school, and he asks them, what do they know about this? Because if they do, how is it really helping them? And in many ways, it's really not. It really isn't something that it's helping them with, which I did like seeing, because really, I mean, I use Spark Notes sometimes, things like that, but do I really carry away learning anything from the internet? No. Do I watch silly videos? Yeah. Do I make videos for you guys? Yeah. But do I really take it and anything away from them? I mean, I get some views, I get some subs, I offer my opinion on things, but no, I don't really learn anything from it. And I think it's interesting that Corey said that, because it's true. I mean, it's kind of a way of life, and I thought it was a good way to put it, because really, it is. It's a way of life. It's something we have at our fingertips 24/7, and we really couldn't live without it. It's something that constantly, we use, and there are pros and cons to that. I really enjoyed that scene overall. Thought that was a very realistic scene, and I definitely really loved the way that was done. I also loved, by the way, in the beginning of the episode, seeing Lucas, Zay, and Farkle making their own profiles as well. I definitely enjoyed that. But where the hell was Smackle? Smackle was not in this episode, and it felt really like her absence was definitely shown, because they didn't explain why she wasn't there. And especially Farkle, who's supposed to be, her boyfriend, why didn't he at least explain why she's not there? I mean, I think he would have done that, and he really didn't do much of that. Now, at the this is mainly because Farkle, Lucas, and Zay are barely in this episode. They're only in like 2 or 3 scenes, but it was just felt really weird to not have Smackle in there, especially when we had her so heavily in the first 2 episodes and barely had her in this one. Now, she is back next week. It just felt weird that she wasn't there, and I don't really know why she wasn't there, because she's become such an integral part of the group, just like Zay, that when she's not there, it just feels like something is off, and I don't really like the way that was done. So basically what ends up happening from here is that Riley becomes extremely popular. Jexica is getting all these comments, everyone wants advice from Jexica, and, you know, Riley is kind of overwhelmed, but she's also really happy that it's turning out very well. The problem is Lucas starts to develop an attraction to Jexica, and basically starts to say that, you know, her bubbly personality is very similar to things Riley likes, and that he thinks that she'd be a good spot in their friendship, and that she should be part of their friends, basically. Now, the way he said that, you can tell that there's more going on. The second that I'm like, he knows that she's Jexica, definitely. I did like that he said, I'm really struggling between 2 girls, and I'm hoping that you can help me. But Riley comes up with this really dumb idea. I don't know where she got this from. This was probably one of the dumbest decisions Riley's made in a while. Basically, she thinks, alright, Lucas likes, you know, both of us. He likes Jexica. We're gonna substitute her so it doesn't pick either of us, and basically keeps us stalling even more. Now, that's really dumb. That is a plot inconvenience. I'm very happy that didn't happen, because that would be really stupid if it did. However, I will say that after what happens here, the episode kind of lost me, and it kind of took me a while to get back into it, because Riley decides that she's going to dress up as Jexica, basically to face everyone, because everyone seems to want Jexica as a friend. They want to talk to her. They want to physically see her. There's even a scene where they call Jexica to the principal's office. Probably one of the funniest scenes of the episode. I also loved, Maya's voices. Like I said before, I think she does a great job with them. But basically, Riley shows up. Literally, everyone is dressed up like Jexica. Now, I get that this is supposed to represent a fad and something that everyone's doing. I get that. But it just felt really unrealistic. And I really thought it was just way too silly. It just didn't really seem like it went with the episode at all. I did like Maya's. We'll see how we solve this. And we'll be right back and see what the lesson is. I thought that was really funny. But apart from that, I just thought it was really dumb. I really was not a fan of that part of the episode. I don't really know what they were trying to show, because yes, things go viral, but not to that extent. I mean, I don't see someone dress up as, you know, someone else. I just don't see them really do that in my school. Now, maybe that's just my school, maybe other schools do that, but I've never really seen anyone do that, so I don't know. Maybe it was just because I haven't seen it in my school, but for me, it just felt kind of strange that they did that. And again, I don't know if schools actually do that, but my school certainly doesn't, so I'm just basing it off of my personal experience. I've never really seen anyone do that. It just felt really weird, though. It really did, and that really took me out of the episode. But a classroom scene, I think, did save things overall, when Corey is with everyone, and he's basically, talking to them about, you know, how the internet is and how it works and everything, and like how they need to be careful what they do, also because of Auggie going through something, which I'll get into. But I thought it was a very good scene. Definitely really did like the way that was done. I thought there was some really good stuff there. But then the end of the episode, it just feels really underwhelming, because, right, you know, Lucas talks about how he knew that she was Jexica. Farkle admits it too. Zay admits it as well. And it's because they know Riley so well. And, you know, he says he knows Maya just as well, basically. For me, it just didn't really work. I mean, it felt predictable. I knew that exactly where this was going, and since this was a one-off, we didn't really get much out of it, other than you gotta be careful with the internet. And I've seen that message before, but we've also seen the message of Riley being herself, because we've seen episodes before where she tries to be cool and it doesn't really work, or she's facing some kind of a dilemma or a personality crisis, and it just didn't really work in the way I wanted to, unfortunately. I really was not as big as a fan of this as I wanted to be. I mean, Rowan Blanchard obviously was great, you know, Sabrina Carpenter was great as well. Everyone was really great in this episode. The writing just didn't really work. It felt like the writing, that when they got to the whole, like, that everyone wearing blue hair, it just got way too silly for me, and it really kind of took me out of the story, I definitely will say. So yeah, that plot really didn't work. Wasn't as big as a fan of it as I wanted to be. I don't think it was bad necessarily, but it started off really good, definitely. Like, it started off really good with showing the importance of being yourself and trying to show who you really are and why people create fake profiles stuff. That was all very well done. But after, you know, the thing with the blue hair, I thought it really just got very silly and very predictable and where it was going to go after that. And I knew exactly what was going to happen after that scene, I have to say. And it really, for me, kind of killed some of the episode. But of course, we do have a subplot in this episode with Auggie, and this was just dumb, honestly. I don't know really what they were trying to do from this, because it started off like a really good subplot, and then ended like it was kind of a dream. I'm not really sure. Basically, Auggie is talking to this kid online, who's like from... He's like a prince in Nairobi or something. I don't know why he's talking to someone in Nairobi, but he is. And basically, this kid and him are really close and everything. And Topanga and Corey can tell that it's not real, that this kid, there's no way, because one, his profile picture is Morgan Freeman, and that there's no way that it's real. But I like the clashing between these two. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the episode, is the clashing between Corey and Topanga, because while these two love each other so much, they are very different. We have to remember, I mean, Topanga was always the more, like, science nerd, and really good in school, and really good scholar, while Corey was more of, you know, very much, you know, like a laid-back kind of guy. This was different, though. Topanga was the one who said, you know, keep it up, and Corey wanted him to actually get rid of it. Like, he's literally said, shut down the internet, you know, we don't really need it, but Topanga thinks that that's wrong, that they should, in fact, use the internet for him. You know, they can't just shield him from things, because I've said before, it's better to tell your kids something than to completely shield it from them, and I think this was a perfect example of that. You know, they're not just going to shield the internet from him, because it's out there, it's constantly at his fingertips, he's going to find a way to get it back. When you take something away from your child, you're lessening the impact of what might happen to them, and it really does not work, and, you know, they don't learn if you just take something away. It doesn't really work that way, and I think they showed that really well here. I also love the callback to Boy Meets World, where she said, you know, this isn't the first time that I kicked you and everything. I thought that was really good. I really love that overall, and I love the banter between these two, but then things get really weird when we realize that, like, there's, like, a fake Ava profile, and she went to, like, London or whatever, and then we get this really bizarre scene of Ava coming in. You know, it's like... she's back from where she was. She gives them all money. Turns out it was just a dream, and I'm really pissed because I'm hoping, I don't think this is true, but to me, was this entire subplot a dream? Because it seemed that way. It seemed like this entire thing was a dream. I get it wakes Auggie up and everything, but it just seemed, again, like a plot convenience. It just seems like it was there to basically end this. It did not work in the way it wanted to. I thought it was actually worse than the Riley stuff going on. I thought the Riley stuff was a lot better than this, because this just wasn't that great to begin with. Besides Corey and Topanga, I just really wasn't a fan of it. I'd much rather them do what they've been doing with Ava and that stuff, because that's all really good, and I think it was just, because of how strong that was, this was just really disappointing. I'm like, alright, they're giving, you know, Auggie and Ava more serious, you know, subplots, and this really wasn't that great. I mean... it does show that a young kid faces the same things that teenagers do, but again, I don't know if it was a dream or not, because to me it seemed like this was all a dream, and if I just sat through a dream, that really pissed me off, because I really wasn't a fan of that. I thought it was really dumb overall. August Maturo, again, was really good, and the girl who played Ava was good as well, but just really dumb, really ridiculous, honestly, and just not at all what I think the plot should have been. I think they really could have ended a lot better, and it felt like a scene was missing, really, like the scene with the dream. I thought there'd be a scene after that, there wasn't. I'm like, oh, it's 9:50, it's 8:58. It was really weird. The episode, like, I think moved way too quickly, and because that, the episode kind of lessened the impact for me. So overall, not a bad episode, just I don't think it was definitely not as strong as the first two episodes. I think a lot of this, it got very unrealistic, it got really silly, and very predictable as well, just not as good as I thought it could have been. It's a good episode of Girl Meets World, not a great episode, a really good message, but just not really working in the way it wanted to. I really wasn't a fan of it. It wasn't a bad episode, I'm gonna say it right now, not a bad episode. I just didn't like the way things ended. I thought, you know, things ended way too convenient for Riley and way too convenient for Auggie, and of course, we don't even know if Augie's was real, so there's that as well. But overall, guys, I'm know you guys saw this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm definitely looking forward to next week's. Next week's looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. I'm failing Spanish as well, so seeing Riley fail Spanish, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see, because I'm not doing well in that class either, so maybe I'll relate to her situation. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. Yeah, you know, let me know what you guys saw this episode. What do you think of the season so far? I'm still loving this season. It's really cool to see him in high school and everything. But this episode, it just wasn't as great. It very much felt like a one-off. And because of it being a one-off, you know, they didn't have to do much with it. I thought they could have done a lot more. And we've definitely seen much more stronger episodes of Girl Meets World in the past. But that's my review. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Outcast. And we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.